I'm going to sound like a complete psychopath or completely insensitive, but that's just going to happen. I hate it when it's one thing to be like discussing, oh, this was a critical response that my book received, and I'm going to talk about it, blah, blah, blah. It's another thing to, I feel like, go on your social media account and cry that you got a critical response and then be posting about it to get more sales. And I see it a lot. I can tell when I go onto your profile, when I see your crying post come up, and there are hundreds of responses to it and a bunch of people in the comments saying they went and purchased your book as they comforted you, and all of your other posts have like 3 posts on them. I hate pleas for pity. I hate saying pity me and purchase my thing. I feel like I'm having a bad day. Somebody help me buy my stuff. Again, we're appealing to emotion. We're appealing to people's goodwill. We're appealing to people's.
It's uncouth. Just say it. It's uncouth. But that's social media for you. There's gonna be Fruit Loops and Looney Tunes on social media. Etiquette, is there's not really a one righteous way of doing things, and there's some people, they have absolutely no shame when it comes to social media, and I've seen that too. But then again, I don't necessarily think it's bad. It's bad per se. Is it uncouth? Yeah, depending on how you approach it, though, because I have seen people that will use the negative reviews as kind of as leverage. Like, they can leverage those negative reviews. So for instance, if your work gets like 1-star reviews or something like that, and it's just from some like ninny is just talking shit, you could use that to your advantage. And you could have, like, say, you could do like content. You could make like a video on your YouTube or something, like, say, reading my 1-star reviews, and kind of put yourself in the hot seat. I've seen authors do that before, and it makes for some quality entertainment. Not to say that you're judging people per se for just having an opinion, but you're just kind of like, say, putting yourself in the hot seat and seeing what people have to say, and just let it fucking speak for itself as far as that goes. I think that that's a very tactful way of going about addressing negative reviews if you're an author out there. Because I know there is another thing that I want to get into with this topic, and that's authors getting involved in reader spaces, because I know that that's also quite a spicy subject as it pertains to this hot topic.
Compassion and manipulating them to sell product. I understand that getting a critical review is hard. It does suck, and it can be very affecting on our mental state. But there's also something really scummy to me about receiving what is a typical part of being a published author, and then using that sadness, that personal angst, to sell more stuff and to get other people's pity. I think it's gross, but let me know what you think. Another one in recent years that I've always had a problem with is the own voice self-report, or using personal demographics in order to boost something as a sales pitch. Now, I understand personally injecting yourself into stories. Generally, most of the time, most authors have some level of personal experience or personal identity injected into the story. However, I don't and never have agreed with making people's personal identities a marketing gimmick. And I think specifically own voice has become very toxic, because now there's this assumption that if you don't mark something as own voice, if you include it in your book, then you are taking advantage, you are pretending something. And then this is starting to try to force authors and the incentive to out people of their personal background or traumas or whatever in order to sell a book or to appease somebody that, hey, I went through this, so you should give me extra attention. But nobody should be forced to out their personal identity, their medical history, their physical history, their mental state, their neurological disorders, any of that, in order to get a book looked at, in order to not be gang attacked online because they put somebody with arthritis in their book. But this keeps happening. So you either market it as own voice so that you can go, hey, look at me, I'm autistic, so you should purchase my book. Or you're getting attacked and you go, hey, I wrote this. And it includes somebody dealing with chronic pain, and then they attack you because you don't experience chronic pain. So now you have to say, hey, yeah, I did. Or another past example is somebody who included like pedophilia or sexual assault and was so ganged up on that she had to express that that was inspired by experiences and trauma that she had, and it was a coping mechanism. So there's all of this garbage around lifting people up by outing themselves, saying you only deserve this job or you only deserve attention if you sell out your personal information. And then other people thinking that they have a right to your personal information if you put stuff in a story. And the answer is no. It's so disgusting to use personal details and force. If you want to out yourself or
Yeah. So that kind of goes into another topic with like representation and stuff like that. Like people, the whole like logical fallacy that like you need to be, you need to have some sort of like if you don't represent whatever characters that you have in your story, then you are misrepresenting characters in some shape, fashion, or form. And I just don't believe in that when we're talking about in the context of fiction. And also the whole idea of people ganging up on authors due to issues with representation or something like that. Like I say, you're entitled to your opinions and your in interpretations as critics. And you can write till you're blue in the face, talk all about it online, and have those reader discussions. But just like how readers do not like when authors get involved in reader spaces, readers should not be fucking hounding authors and trying to drag authors' names through the mud because of the content within their works of fiction. I left a comment on Ian's video right at that timestamp, and I said, I stand behind the notion that authors do not owe their readers any explanation for the content within their stories. That is up to the critics to decipher and offer interpretations within their reviews/editorials, which opens up a dialogue for individuals to become engaged in. I think some people forget that literature is not just a quote unquote escape, but also an art form that has cultural significance within the zeitgeist. In my opinion, the difference between art and propaganda is that one is open to interpretation, while the other simply tells you what to think. Sometimes intent can be difficult to decipher because sometimes art can be quite provocative for reasons unbeknownst to those who do not have the eyes to see or the ears to hear, aka the profane.